Star Wars: The Force Unleashed, the game where you can immerse yourself in a vast and bold Star Wars story and interact with iconic characters like Darth Vader, Princess Leia, and Emperor Palpatine. Before Disney bought and destroyed our childhood memories, and before EA reigned terror across Star Wars video games, we got this little story-driven game from Asper Studios that took everything you knew about Star Wars, flipped it on its head, and delivered arguably the most bold and unique Star Wars story to ever exist. The Force Unleashed released in 2008, and after its success was given a sequel in 2010. But today we are here to talk about one of the pride and joys of Star Wars games and determine if it's still worth it in 2021. Now, just in case you didn't know, Star Wars: The Force Unleashed is not canon, and it certainly doesn't try to be. Whereas most Star Wars games try to have their games take place in lesser-known eras with new characters and stories, The Force Unleashed says, nah, screw that, and places its new characters and story right in the heart of one of the most known time periods between Episode 3 and 4. The protagonist Starkiller, brilliantly acted by Sam Witwer, who also voiced Darth Maul in the Clone Wars, is one of the most badass and enjoyable protagonists in Star Wars video games, and even better than some characters from the actual movies. And Starkiller works perfectly with the darker tone of The Force Unleashed, which also works very well for this time period. Now, the story is only 8 hours long, but the unpredictability and boldness, along with not being tied down to anything canon, is the story's greatest strength. And I kid you not, my jaw was probably on the floor for 2 minutes straight after the ending. However, what really holds The Force Unleashed back is Father Time. I played this game on PC and well, for starters, the game is capped at 30 FPS and you can't play the game above 1080p. Luckily, there's a very informative Steam guide on how to fix this through mods and messing with the game files a bit, but having to do all that just for the game to run how it should is not exactly ideal. The last 2 missions of the game also have audio bugs and the game is just completely muted, which you once again can fix by installing another mod. There's also some glitches with blurring for some people, in which there is another mod for that. And even with everything fixed, the port is still not ideal. The controls don't transfer to mouse and keyboard very well. I highly recommend using a controller, and the cutscenes are still in the original 720p, and for some reason in-game the audio is very quiet, but in cutscenes it's very loud. I get that this game wasn't really designed for PC, but man, it is one of the worst PC ports I had played in a while. Xbox is probably the best place to play this game, which you will rarely hear me say, but it's the only platform that's got consistent backwards compatibility. It is available through PS Now on PlayStation as well, but you do need a subscription and good internet connection for that. And I tried it a little bit and the graphics looked pretty disgusting. The Force Unleashed lightsaber combat at its core is a bit simple, but then you open up the combos and wow. There's a lot of combos and a ton of different moves you can perform with the lightsaber, and even though it may seem repetitive at its core, the new abilities and moves that you unlock as you progress through the game add some great variety and requires a fair amount of skill. The Force Unleashed also has a large variety of force powers, which can also mix in with your lightsaber attacks, along with your force lightning, force push, repulse, force shield, force grip, where you can toss enemies around like ragdolls. I mean, this game makes Jedi Fallen Order look like a toddler in comparison. There's so much to do, so many different moves and powers that are effective in different situations, and you can upgrade like literally everything. The force powers are a bit exaggerated and unrealistic even for the Star Wars universe, but it looks so cool that who cares? It's not like it's canon anyways, and I'd much rather rip a Star Destroyer out of the sky than force heal some weird lizard thing. The Force Unleashed does have a linear level design and it can be repetitive with it just throwing waves of enemies at you, but the game has so many different and unique enemy types, each with different strengths and weaknesses, that doesn't get old, and the game's pace rarely slows down. You're almost always in action and fighting. You even get to play as Darth Vader in a Kashyyyk invasion in the first level. It doesn't get much more badass than that. In The Force Unleashed, you also get to visit some well-known iconic Star Wars planets and characters, along with some lesser known, giving a really good balance and giving you an all-new side of Star Wars that you won't find anywhere else. Each level usually ends with some sort of boss fight, which are quite challenging and force you to find the opponent's weaknesses and exploit it. I truly enjoyed Star Wars The Force Unleashed, and I really wanted to give this game a 4 out of 5 stars, but the PC port was so horribly optimized, and I had to jump through so many hoops just to play the game that I can't in good conscience give it that score. So The Force Unleashed gets a 3 out of 5 stars, and if you're on console, I absolutely recommend playing the game in 2021. The story is dark, bold, and incredibly well performed. The combat is in-depth and intricate, and the level design is constantly engaging and action-filled. Like I said earlier, I think the best platform for the game is Xbox. If you have a good connection and want to try it through PS Now, you can get a free 1-week trial, so you can always play it that way. The game is quite cheap as well because of its age, so I think it's a great game for Star Wars fans to experience. The game could definitely benefit from a remaster, but considering LucasArts doesn't even exist anymore, that's not very likely. If you're new here and enjoyed the review and found it helpful, I'd appreciate it if you dropped a like on the video and considered subscribing to the channel. And other than that, thanks for watching.